This week on Arizona Illustrated, the Arizona Trail, Part 1.
We built good, sustainable trail. We provide trailheads and access, but really the experiences that people have out there are their own.
Lola's Justice, an activist journey.
My fantasies were always about being a person who made an impact and change for the better.
Old Nogales Highway with architect Bill Mackey.
Any roadway that you go down, you can start to see what makes a city be a city.
Welcome to Arizona Illustrated. I'm Tom McNAMARA. The Arizona National Scenic Trail, or Arizona Trail as most know it, stretches 800 miles through deserts, mountains, forests, and canyons. It's also a place to encounter the state's diverse history and people. The route provides unparalleled opportunities for hikers, mountain bikers, equestrians, and other trail users. In 2016, nature and environment producer Tony Paniagua went to see this desert treasure for himself. Here's part 1 of the Arizona Trail.
In a state known for nothing but deserts, we have many good secrets.
Really is a gem to have it here.
We're at the U.S.-Mexico border on the Arizona National Scenic Trail. This is Border Monument 102, and it marks the southern terminus of the Arizona Trail. From here, trail users can go 800 miles all the way from Mexico to Utah. It doesn't all look like this, though. There's a variety of different environments that you'll see. You'll see everything from grasslands to giant saguaro cactus to the largest ponderosa pine forest in the entire world, and cross rim to rim in the Grand Canyon, crown jewel of the Arizona Trail, before reaching Utah.
We built good, sustainable trail. We provide trailheads and access, but really the experiences that people have out there are their own. Whether they're hiking or running or mountain biking or horseback riding, they get to experience like a raw, beautiful side of Arizona that they probably wouldn't see otherwise.
Well, I grew up in Colorado, so I enjoyed the mountains there. Moved to Florida and it's flat. Very different from where I'm from, enjoying the mountain air. The views are tremendous, to be able to see across miles and miles and miles. So I just enjoy being out with my family.
After trail users travel about 50 miles from the Mexican border, they reach the gateway community of Patagonia, where we are today. There's 33 gateway communities on the Arizona Trail, and each one of these helps not only the trail users to resupply and get back on the trail, but the trail users themselves bring a lot of money into these communities through resupply, places to stay, places to eat. It's a very important relationship between the trail users and the gateway communities.
It is important to us to grow the ecotourism as the base of our economy, and any increased activity that comes to the Arizona Trail will be of benefit to our community here at Patagonia, and people will enjoy being here. It's a win-win for everyone.
Wherever I go, I'm always improving the trail because as a cowboy, I do a lot of that trail maintenance. So I contacted the organization just to let them know what I was doing, and they said, oh, you should become a segment steward, you know, and they roped me in. They got me in official. I'm not an official type of person, but they got me signed up as an official segment steward, and boy, I just have had so much fun with it ever since. I don't know why it took that long to get involved.
Volunteers have been critical to the Arizona Trail ever since its inception. It's volunteers who built the trail. It's the largest volunteer project in Arizona's history to build 800 miles of trail across the state. as well as we have volunteers who maintain the trail, go out on work events, and provide information for people looking to use the trail.
I've been taking care of this segment for 11 years.
It was still being built when I got involved with it, and Carrie and I became part of the Cienega, closed the gap 25 miles in 2 years, and we started helping with that, and we became segment stewards together.
I was very excited about the fact that it was going to be something that was not only going to be here, but be able to last for generation after generation. So I started doing crew leading on building the trail, and just over time started to kind of have a little bit of maybe a love affair. So then I wanted to become more involved with the trail.
I was helping a lot of other people get through certain segments of the trail, and then I got to thinking, golly, you know, I kind of like to do this myself.
There's a lot of diversity in the trail and so much variety, and I think it surprises a lot of people how it's constantly changing.
Here at Colossal Cave Mountain Park, about 5 miles away from Cienega Creek on Passage 8, Rincon Valley. It's beautiful out here. There's fantastic trail for hikers, bikers, and equestrians. And this is also where we do our Arizona Trail Day.
I knew it existed. It's pretty awesome. I am section hiking it right now, and it's a lot of fun, great outdoor activity to get some sunshine and fresh air.
One of the ways that you can do things is to send yourself packages ahead of time to the Gateway communities, or you can just resupply in the Gateway communities, pick up some extra food for the next leg.
I've seen a lot of hikers come through. It's an awesome, awesome little wayfare as they're headed north, you know. They mail themselves packages and drop by, and sometimes they mail themselves things on their way out.
This is a very special place for me because this is where my entire Arizona Trail journey began. This is where I got the idea to hike the entire length of Arizona. I hiked the Arizona Trail all day long from this trailhead, and when I was done, I realized there was so much more to do. I could keep going in either direction from Mexico to Utah. You don't need to do the entire Arizona Trail to enjoy it. You can go out and visit a trailhead, you can go for a day hike, you can go for a picnic. It's kind of a choose your own adventure, and so I tell people not to be intimidated by it, but just to kind of choose the pieces that they're most interested in.
I think one of the big things about the Arizona Trail is they want to open up the state to people, but not using asphalt and blacktop, and let people experience what the state has to offer.
Issues of race and inequality are a painful part of our collective history, and they remain a contentious part of our present-day reality. From our very beginnings, we have struggled with getting it right, and all along the way, brave voices have challenged the status quo, putting their shoulder to the wheel, seeking justice, hoping to set a new course. Lola Rainey is one person who has lent her voice to that cause.
First, I need everyone to put their cell phones on vibrate. 4, 3, 2.
Welcome to Just an Open Mic, where we amplify your voice. We've been on hiatus, but we're back. And today we have a special guest, and she's not a special guest. She's always special to me, but it's my daughter, Najima Jamila, who's here to talk to us about a special Black Lives Matter Tucson and Tucson Second Chance Bail Fund event called Black Pussy Power.
Black Pussy Power.
Say that, Black Pussy Power.
Black Pussy Power.
You know, and that's and you know the thing that's such a provocative way of bringing this issue to the forefront, which is about Black womanhood and celebrating who we are as women. My name is Lola Rainey. I am a community organizer, activist, lawyer, writer, poet. So many hats I think I wore. Amplify those voices and bring that power into a single place, a single night. Who knows what's possible? Keep hoping they'll call me back. I want to find out about this program they have.
Lola Rainey's many hats have all served a single mission, making sure that every voice is heard and that justice prevails. It's a mission that took her into the courtroom as an attorney advocating for change, and it's a mission that ultimately led her to leave the law in search of something more.
Be a person of color and go into the Pima County courts with your more than likely white judge, more than likely white public defender, more than likely white prosecutor, and your more than likely majority white jury. And you tell me, does that feel like justice? Is it still raining, Dad? Stop. He can't hear. Here, take this little one. Daddy, take this little one.
Okay.
This is better.
Lola's passion for justice has roots in the injustice of the past.
See, we didn't have this when I was a kid.
Her parents grew up in Texas under Jim Crow laws that enforced racial segregation.
The signs of color and white, well, I was used to it, so therefore I knew what not to do.
I remember once my dad was out in the field plowing, and this preacher came out, all starched and on, and my dad, he was talking to my dad, and he says to my dad, well, I think God has a heaven for white and a heaven for black. I didn't know the Bible, but I knew that was wrong, and I wanted my dad to say, no. He just said, yes, sir.
Okay, you can turn the light on.
Okay, let me see.
I think that one should say no, yes. If you disagree, why don't you just disagree? You might not be liked for it, but disagree.
That's the only thing left I need to fix this.
Growing up in Tucson, Lola learned early the power of being willing to disagree.
I was the only black kid in a predominantly white environment. We did have some Hispanic kids, but mostly we had white kids here. One of my friends, she got beat up. She used to get beat up by her father because she played with me. Yeah, I mean, we're talking about some really nasty, hateful white people. And I don't know where that comes from. That type of cruelty, that type of hatefulness that left scars on people. And I have met very few adult women had that type of heart. Thank you so much. Thank you, Pops, for coming in. I love mythology. I love stories of these heroic people who did things, who changed the world.
One of the librarians, she told me, she's going to be something some of these days. She's going to be important. I said, really? Because she loved to read, you know.
Lola's love of stories and longing to better the world led her to journalism. She dreamed of becoming a foreign correspondent, but then life intervened.
I'm like, well, what can I do? I'm married, I have a baby, and I can't do the work that I wanted to do. And someone said, why don't you apply to law school? And I got in. So there it is. That was a really hard thing to do, to live in that world, to become that person, because it was so different from the world that I came from. Because I'm from a working class family. I mean, I didn't know any lawyers. What did I know about what I was signing up for? I didn't.
As a city and county prosecutor, and later in her private practice, which focused on civil rights, Lola came to see the law's power to change society. But she also bore witness to the dark side of her profession.
Racial bias in sentencing. I think that's a problem nationally. It's a problem here in Arizona. I'm really concerned that we're not doing enough to address the disparities in how people are sentenced based on the color of their skin. Black defendants who are convicted of drug offenses spend 25% longer time in prison for doing the same crimes as other people. That's insane.
In her late 30s, Lola started losing her vision to a rare eye disease. That was when she walked away from her career to carve out a different kind of life.
The privileges of and approval of and privileges of the ruling classes. Why are we fighting for that? Is that what we're fighting for? If that's what we're fighting for, I don't want it.
Understand, you can do that because we fought to give you the access to, things that you didn't have access to before.
This time, Lola would fight for justice as an activist. With her daughters Najima and Tiara, Lola started the Tucson Second Chance Community Bail Fund, which aims to address the inequities of the cash bail system.
So they need other people to attack it. I attack it in my way.
Cash bail can create a vicious circle in which people who can't afford their bail may lose their jobs and homes while jailed, which can push them deeper into poverty. It's a system that even the Justice Department has called unconstitutional.
It's the criminalization of poverty. I am working to help free people who are too poor to post their own bail to get out so they can get on with their lives, defend themselves in courts, and hopefully keep their families together while their cases are pending.
Hi, how are you doing today?
Whether she's producing a podcast from her kitchen or protesting with Black Lives Matter Tucson, Lola is calling for change, even if that change creates discord or discomfort.
And that type of thinking, that second-class citizen type of thinking, feeds into this narrative that cops don't have to be responsible. You are supposed to have gone through training. When you approach me, you're supposed to know how to approach me in a way that protects you, but also protects me. Why do I have to do all this extra stuff to make sure that you're scared behind doesn't pull a gun?
My thought is, what happened? Why did it stop feeling like a community? I sort of came alongside to support the youngsters because I love what they were doing. I wanted to lend whatever assistance I could to that effort. But I'm always having to step back. I'm always having to remind myself to step back because my views and my way of doing things doesn't always mesh well with the younger version of the struggle.
When we first met her, she was like, you know what, Iris, if you're gonna do this, you have to do it. You can't just do half of it because these communities need you and you have to be present. And so if you don't wanna do that, you need to get out. And literally that's what she told me. It made me realize that I couldn't be lax about how I was doing my work. I really had to step up and be present as well. The strength that she has when she does get behind a cause or a community, we need to somehow preserve that and pass that on. It's like it's okay to fight. It's totally okay to do it.
Sometimes I wish she would pull back, but then I look and say, Lord, you know her better than I do.
Justice does not require a law degree. It requires courage. If you're really, truly making a difference in the world, it's because you're loving people and you're creating an opportunity for them to be their best selves. You're pushing them and you're rooting for them. You want them to win. And I want people to win.
The Poetry Center at the University of Arizona is hosting a bus ride down Old Nogales Highway on Sunday, May 20th. The host, will be artist and architect Bill Mackey. The ride will be an air-conditioned yellow school bus. This Sunday drive will include poetry and Sonoran dogs, and we'll explore our sense of place through nostalgia and the idea of a road that leaves town. Last year, we went along with Bill Mackey for a ride on Old Nogales Highway.
This road leaves our settlement. It goes past other settlements and continues through countless others. It converges on itself into a point on the horizon. It disappears behind a curve or a hill into a land unseen, unknown. It is a vista, a landscape, a path, a line on a plane. It is real. We can touch it, we can travel on it. It makes noise when we move on it. It grumbles and crunches and swooshes and screeches and bumps.
All my artwork's about the city, it's about the landscape, it's about buildings and how they fit within the roadway. I like to make the mundane precious. It's always a really fine balance of not coming off as an erudite or an elitist or someone who's like snarky about it, because I don't want to be any of those. I thought today would be like, just stop when we think there's a cool image. I love this building facade. Sorry, I'm gonna make my first stop. This is gonna be like the first of probably 7 or 8 trips, I would think, doing this. When you start looking at a landscape and you're just doing it open-ended without any sort of agenda, there's kind of an information overload. I could spend hours and hours on one street corner, but I know I don't have the time for that.
All right, that's enough of this for us.
If somebody asked me, well, what Tucson is all about, without even saying a word, you could show them what Tucson was by just going down that road and back. You start in downtown Tucson, you go through South Tucson, you go through the casino, Raytheon, and the airport, and desert, and then pecan orchards. And you see everything in between. You see rec centers and trains and cement factories. Any roadway that you go down, you can start to see what makes this city be a city. The first time we went out was kind of how I want the piece to end up being. It's capturing that feeling, and now I have to be an artist or scientist or whatever and find meaning in that, unfortunately.
Hi, are you coming for the bus?
Can you hear? Do I need to speak louder into the microphone? Yes, you can hear me, or yes, I need to speak louder into the microphone. This project started out as a book in the grant proposal. The more I investigated Old Nogales Highway, the more I got mesmerized by just going down it. And the book vanished. Onto the road we go, away into the horizon, cruising past the measured rhythm of intersections, streetlights, and power poles, past the vistas, along with the clouds, and the ostrich, brittle bush, cell phone towers, trees, palms.
For me, he's always somebody who opens my eyes, but makes the observations of this world interesting and delightful.
mail trucks, airplanes, missile factories, mountains, orchards.
It really made us slow down and engage with our environment and look at our environment in a really different way.
And sidewalks merge into an image of place in our heads. Not a care in the world, just this ephemeral visage of the landscape roaring up to our windshield, momentarily paused and then gone in an instant.
Bill always brings a kind of something that oscillates between what you think is sarcasm and what is an acceptance of the world today as it unfolds. He puts you in all these ways of seeing that world, but he never tells you what you should think. I walk away trying to figure out, what do I really think about this?
Nostalgia is some messy, beautiful, dangerous, sentimental notion of memory and history. History is data, memory is personal. Old Nogales Highway is living, real-time nostalgia. It is history before us, in a way no other place in Tucson is. Old Nogales Highway is our memory right before our eyes. No collage, the real deal. Even if we didn't live here for generations, we can go down it and get a feel for what it was like back then, and that other then. If they widen Old Nogales Highway, which part would the preservationists say, wait a second, you can't do that, this is something special here? Which part would they not care about? What would their hired professionals profess? What is sacred about the experience? A physical building, a memento, a memory, the way our world in this particular place meets the sky? What is our future in this place? Will it eventually remember the rules, to color inside the lines, to move at the bell, to get with the program, and feel the gravity of the economic imperative, to know the weight that holds our heads low and drags us from our beds before sunrise, convinces us to trade our labor for valued paper and drone on? Yet there is something there under the rubble. It is Old Nogales Highway.
Thank you for joining us here on Arizona Illustrated. Next week, Loveland, music for the soul.
Loveland kind of changes in formation, and no matter who's playing with Loveland, whatever they bring to it is it's just right for that moment.
I'm Tom McNAMARA. See you next week.